On August 22, 2017, in the quietness of his home in Florida, one of the brightest stars in bodybuilding took his last breath at just 26 years old. Dallas McCarver, known as Big Country, had gone quiet just hours before he was training, eating, and chatting with his girlfriend on the phone. So what led to the untimely death of this man whom many had thought would one day win the Mr. Olympia title? Chapter 1: Rural Beginnings. Dallas Nathan McCarver was born on April 9, 1991 in a small town in Tennessee. Growing up in the countryside, he learned a strong work ethic early on by helping out with farm chores. This foundation of strength would later shape his career. Unlike many bodybuilders who start in their teens, Dallas' journey in the bodybuilding industry began seriously at the age of 20, which is quite late for someone who would quickly rise in the professional rankings. He was always a big kid. In high school, he played football, and coaches noticed his potential because of his impressive size.
Dallas was playing football at the time. He was like 300 pounds, and he had scholarships for football, which he turned down for bodybuilding. And he could have been like a D1. He probably could have been in the NFL. The kid was a freak athlete. And
he loved bodybuilding.
He was obsessed with bodybuilding. He would bodybuild and play football. Like, he was jacked out of his mind in high school, natural. Like, 300 pounds, like, he was a monster. But obviously he was soft and like not like hard and grainy like a bodybuilder, but
however, as much as he desired and was obsessed about bodybuilding, he did not think about it until after he graduated.
A desire to be great in this sport. And that desire was greater than my urge to go out and party or waste time eating junk food or whatever. I wanted to be pro. And I sacrificed a lot to get here. You know, I was fighting to get where I wanted to be.
Standing at 6'1", Dallas was a standout player in football, thanks to his natural strength. One day, while at the gym, someone encouraged him to try competing in bodybuilding. At first, he was not interested. He was just focusing on getting stronger for football. But eventually, he agreed to give it a shot, not knowing how much it would change his life.
This is my dream come true. This is everything for the last few years. This is everything I've worked for right here.
In 2011, Dallas entered his first bodybuilding competition without a trainer, a nutritionist, or much knowledge about the sport.
Of 2011, I guess I just kind of knew there was had a lot of personal things going on in my life, kind of deterring me away from football. But I just had this urge and desire to do a bodybuilding show. It was just I can't really explain it, but my brother really pushed me. Brian Moss, a good friend of mine, brother, really pushed me into it. So in January 2011, I decided to do it. May 2011 was the first show. And so I did the show. And then 2 weeks later, since I won that show, 2 weeks later in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is the city I was just talking about where I just moved from, there was another show and it was a national qualifier. And I was like, well, I won this one. Never expected to win, man. I just wanted to do it to see how good I could look, and maybe pick up a chick or two or something, I don't know.
What he did have, though, was natural talent and a strong work ethic. At his first show, the 2011 NPC Hub City Fitness Quest, he surprised everyone, including himself, by winning both the super heavyweight and overall titles. Dallas McCarver's collaboration with well-known coach Chad Nichols was a key part of his growth as a professional bodybuilder. In an interview, Dallas shared how Chad helped him improve his training and diet. Chad, who has trained legends like Ronnie Coleman, saw Dallas's talent early on and played a big role in helping him become a strong competitor in the sport.
So, like in my mind, I was like, I'm going to reach out to Chad and see, ask his opinion on this, that, and the other. And then it just started, well, why don't you just ask, if he would be interested in helping you? And then kind of went into that. And then, which thankfully and luckily he was, which I'm very thankful for, the opportunity, obviously. And then from there, it was, I told him everything pretty much I just told you. And he assessed everything the way I looked, and we got started. And we've been rolling for about, like 6 weeks now.
Chapter 2: Meteoric Rise. What makes Dallas McCarver's story stand out in the bodybuilding world is how quickly he rose to the top. Most bodybuilders take years or even decades to move up from amateur competitions to professional status. Dallas, however, managed to achieve in just 4 years what usually takes others around 15 years.
Apparently, so your first show was in 2011, and it was kind of a hometown show-ish, right? It was the...
It was my hometown, yes. It was the...
Hub City?
Hub City. Man, damn, you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah.
In 2012, just a year after competing locally for the first time, Dallas won the Super Heavyweight and overall titles at the IFBB North American Championships, earning his IFBB Pro card at the impressive age of 21. This made him one of the youngest professional bodybuilders ever.
The next year, September 2012, when I was 21, I did the North Americans. I won the overall there. Thanks to Dan Decker actually winning the Masters. And a lot of people don't remember this, but you do. If it wasn't for Dan Decker winning the Masters, I never would have turned pro with that shit.
The real challenge came when he faced off against top professionals. Most young athletes struggle and burn out against seasoned competitors, but Dallas kept surprising everyone. When he was backstage at his first pro show, he was surrounded by the bodybuilders he had watched on YouTube. He felt scared, but once he stepped on stage, it all came together for him.
A lot of people told me I was competing for first. I am very hard on myself, and I saw the fucking pictures, and I don't think there was much competition. Dan is much older, much more developed, much more experienced bodybuilder. I think he had me, let's be real.
His first pro competition was the 2015 IFBB California State Pro, where he placed first, winning his pro debut, and later that year he placed 13th at the Mr. Olympia. While this was pretty good for a newcomer, it wasn't what Dallas hoped for. Instead of getting discouraged, he worked even harder. Less than a year later, he won his first professional title at the 2016 IFBB Chicago Pro, beating experienced competitors and proving he was much more than just a promising rookie. He was now a serious contender. What was truly impressive about Dallas was not just his size, but how fast he learned and improved. While most bodybuilders take years to fix weaknesses in their physique, Dallas could make changes in just a few months. Behind the scenes, he had teamed up with renowned bodybuilding coach Chad Nichols, who had helped Ronnie Coleman win multiple Mr. Olympia titles. Under Chad's guidance, Dallas's progress only picked up speed from there. Dallas had a great relationship with Chad.
Back from Australia, I was in contact with Matt, and I had heard from Chad a few times, and Chad sent me a text one day, and he was like, "Man, honestly," he was like, "It's clear, you're not loving this like you used to. You need to move back to Tennessee and get back to work with Matt Jansen."
Wow.
Because there's a lot more important things. I mean, this is coming from a guy that's coached several Olympia wins.
Of course.
And he told me, straight up, he's like, "There's a lot more things to this than titles and trophies. It's about doing it and loving it and doing it your way."
Wow.
And to have the guy that was helping you tell you that is one of the biggest eye-opening things I've ever had, ever. And so I'm very thankful to Chad for that honesty, and obviously very thankful to Matt for his forgiveness. And then one more thing is one of the things I really could have done better in the beginning. Matt said, he took it
Chapter 3: The Man Behind the Muscles. Dallas showed a cheerful side to the public, but his close friends knew there was more to him. He was a thoughtful young man who dealt with the stress of rising to fame quickly. He felt a strong need to catch up since he started competing later than others. To do this, he trained harder, worked on his diet, and pushed himself to the limit. Friends would often see him calculating how to make up for lost time in his progress. Bodybuilding is tough.
Typically, I would train after 2 meals, but in about 2 weeks, me and Matt are going to swap over to 2-a-day training. So I'm trying to get in the habit of, 1 meal, go train, because when it kicks over to 2 days, basically the way it's going to be is, you get a meal in, you go train, then another 2 or 3 meals, and then go train again. So I'm just trying to get my body acclimated to, cardio, meal, train.
Both physically and mentally. For Dallas, this meant a strict routine.
Today's meal 1, 300 grams egg whites, 3 whole omega-enriched free-range eggs, and 150 grams of oats. Favorite meal of the day. I love egg whites and eggs.
Many people think bodybuilding is glamorous, but it often involves endless meals of chicken and rice, working out through pain, and missing out on social events because they did not fit his diet plan. Despite the challenges, Dallas had a charming southern spirit that attracted fans. In an industry where ego can be common, his humility made him stand out. At events, Dallas loved spending time with young fans. He would often give them his contact information for workout tips and showed real interest in their stories. This openness was uncommon among top professionals and really highlighted his character. By 2016, Dallas moved to Florida to fully focus on bodybuilding. He was in a relationship with WWE star Dana Brooke, who understood the demands of his athletic life and provided him with great support. Chapter 4: Struggles Behind the Scenes. Many people did not realize the struggles Dallas went through behind the scenes. The intense demands of professional bodybuilding were starting to affect his body. Experts say that carrying too much muscle can put stress on the heart, lungs, and other important organs. In March 2017, during the Arnold Classic Australia, Dallas collapsed on stage while competing. After Dallas collapsed on stage, medical staff quickly rushed to help him. They checked his vitals and told him he should withdraw for his own safety. Despite their concerns, Dallas insisted he felt fine and wanted to compete in the finals. Fellow competitors and event officials watched with worry, some advising him to be careful while others seemed really shaken by what had happened. He later explained that he had an upper respiratory infection that turned into bronchitis, combined with dehydration and exhaustion after weeks of hard work. In a statement, Dallas explained, "I'll be the first to clear the air. I did collapse during prejudging. I've been fighting an upper respiratory infection ever since Columbus, which has now turned into a bad case of bronchitis. That, on top of being in a depleted or dehydrated state for the past 3 weeks straight, had me in a really bad spot this morning. Me and Chad Nichols contemplated pulling out earlier today, but we all know I ain't made that way. The bronchitis had me all choked up and unable to breathe or catch my breath and get oxygen during the posing rounds. That, along with being depleted and dehydrated, was just too much for my body to take. Next thing I know, I was on the floor backstage. All that matters to me now is my health, and I will be okay. Just a bit embarrassed and sorry to all the fans." Even after this scare, Dallas wanted to keep going and planned to compete in the finals. However, he eventually decided to pull out to focus on his health. This incident raised alarms in the bodybuilding world about the extreme measures athletes take to get in shape. Dallas recognized the seriousness of what happened, but insisted that pushing boundaries is part of the sport. Behind his tough exterior, close friends revealed that Dallas had started to share worries about his health, mentioning shortness of breath, chest pain, and unusual tiredness, signs that his body was under a lot of stress. Sadly, Dallas McCarver passed away on August 22, 2017 at just 26 years old. The official report said he died from serious heart problems linked to a long-term steroid use and other substances. The autopsy revealed that McCarver died from severe concentric left ventricular hypertrophy with coronary atherosclerosis. At 833 grams, his heart was nearly 3 times the average for a man his age. Additionally, he had significant coronary artery disease, with severe blockage in the left anterior descending artery and moderate blockage in the right coronary artery. This only showed the amount of pressure his body endured. Further findings included an enlarged liver and kidneys, severe kidney damage, scarred lungs, and papillary thyroid cancer. This toxicology report indicated the presence of anabolic steroids, including trenbolone and elevated testosterone levels. Legacy: Dallas McCarver's sudden death shocked the bodybuilding community. Tributes poured in on social media from fellow athletes, fans, and people who admired him for his talent and kind nature. Many thought he had what it took to become a Mr. Olympia champion. Icons like Flex Lewis and Ronnie Coleman posted heartfelt tributes, describing Dallas as not only a rising star, but one of the kindest and most grounded people in the sport. Besides his incredible physique, McCarver was known for his humility and kindness. His passing sparked important discussions about the dangerous practices often seen in professional bodybuilding. The autopsy showed that he had serious heart issues and clogged arteries, problems made worse by the long-term use of performance-enhancing drugs. Dallas' girlfriend, Dana Brooke, was deeply affected by his passing. On August 22, the Lord received another angel. My life, my Dallas, the one who truly understood me. Since then, Dana has been dedicated to honoring Dallas' memory by promoting the Dallas McCarver Foundation, which helps young athletes and raises health awareness. In an interview, she talked about her work and how she wants to create a positive impact in his name.
Here, Ashley Mae Sabera, I may accidentally just automatically call you Dana Brooke. Is that all right?
That is A-okay, no issue.
Okay, all right, just making sure. Of course, Ashley, or Dana Brooke, however you know her, is a WWE superstar, also owns a nonprofit called the Dallas McCarver Foundation, which we will cover here in just a moment. Or nonprofit, how did the Dallas McCarver Foundation happen?
You know something, Dallas had passed away in 2017, and, you know, as I always say that, you know, life always has to keep going and kind of constantly keep moving forward, and that's exactly like what I do. And I couldn't, and I always say that there's no right way or wrong way of like grieving or handling things in life, but I just needed to constantly like keep going and keep moving forward, and I just needed to know like how to carry on his legacy because it was so tragic, you know. Super tragic as far as losing someone, and one day they're here, the next they're gone, and Dallas and I had a soft spot for children. You know, we always wanted to give back to different children, organizations, charities, and things along that line. And it felt like the perfect fit. I started working with his mom on this foundation, and we wanted to give back to hospitals, children, children's hospitals, children's orphanages, schools, and it just felt like the perfect fit because that's exactly what Dallas and I wanted to do after his next competition was work with.
Like many professional athletes, Dallas lived in an environment where performance-enhancing drugs were often a hidden reality. The demands of competition, like size, fitness, and the pressure to excel, often pushed athletes to consider these drugs. While they might boost performance, using them carries serious risks, especially when paired with intense training, strict diets, and the constant drive for physical perfection.